Today's show is sponsored by Mint Mobile. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan and start saving today when you get started over at mintmobile.com/chatsports. Now, I'll put that link for everyone in the comments and the description of today's show. Now, speaking of today's show, it's a live mailbag. We recorded this during our live show, which is every single Thursday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Make sure to tune in next Thursday if you haven't before. So if anything gets dated or changed by a little bit here or there, just bear with us. All right. Ryan is the first man up to the plate here with the question asking, Brandin Cooks would make this offense elite. Browns, what could we give? The only interesting thing about Brandin Cooks is that the Texans were so hell-bent on not trading him this offseason. They gave him a 2-year extension only to change their minds 6-7 weeks later. That felt very strange to me. What could it cost to get Brandin Cooks? I think it would cost probably a third-round pick. We just saw Kadarius Toney get traded for a third-round pick. Sometimes these trades can set the market for wide receivers. Now, Toney and Cooks are in very different stages of their career, but I think maybe even a fourth-rounder could get it done. A lot of it would have to come down to who wants to take on his contract. Remember last year when Von Miller was traded from the Broncos to the Rams? Well, Denver ate a lot of his salary, and that allowed them to get a second and a third-round pick. So if the Texans agree to eat a bunch of that salary, they'll get a better pick in return. If they want to get that salary off their books, they won't get such a great return as they had if they ate the money. All right, Greeny is the next one up on the show. Any under-the-radar trade candidates love the show. Appreciate you, Greeny. Under-the-radar trade candidates. We've talked a lot about the big names, but every single year during the trade deadline, a third-string, fourth-string corner gets moved, and no one's ever heard of the guy. But it happens, like a backup offensive lineman. Under-the-radar trade candidate for the Browns, what about John Johnson? He has been called out the last couple of weeks for poor play, and I've been definitely behind the microphone of this. And I just remember Jeremy Fowler from ESPN did an article talking about trade buzz, and mostly talked about Kareem Hunt. But he included one sentence that said something along to the tune of the Browns might be looking to move on from some of their veteran leaders. Wonder who he was talking about. Might that be John Johnson? Interested to see if Andrew Berry wants to see DeAnthony Bell play and trade Johnson because they're not bringing him back next year. They're probably definitely going to cut him at the end of this season. All right, comment your trade ideas, though. Really curious what you guys have to say about this. If you want to go with the John Johnson route, Kareem Hunt, whatever it is, just want to see what everyone's different trade ideas are down in the comment section below. Brody, you're next up on the show. I honestly think we could still make the playoffs if we can be 5-6 by the time that Watson is back and we end 9-8. I don't think that's an impossible thing to do. I don't. Unlikely, yes. 5-6, they are 2-5 right now, so they can only lose one game to the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Bucks. Now, one game sticks out more than the rest right there, and that is the Bills game. You could talk yourself into beat the Bengals at home, no Jamar Chase, check. Coming off the bye, knock off the Dolphins, check. Maybe lose to the Bills, okay. Beat the Bucks, who are struggling themselves, check. 5-6 for Deshaun Watson, yeah, I don't think that's out of the cards. The issue is, this team has not looked like a team that can rattle off 3 out of 4 wins the next month. That's my biggest issue. Not that it can't be done. I haven't seen that from this team. They have been close in games, no doubt about it. They have had a lot of really close losses, but they have this big wall they run into every fourth quarter from the coaching staff to the players that they can never seem to get out of. Jersey Dog next up on the show. Who's available to replace Mike Preifer if he doesn't make it through the bye week? Good question. Anytime you see a coordinator get moved or fired mid-season, most recently, I remember the Chargers, they fired, their offensive coordinator, Lombardi, last year in the middle of the season, maybe 2 years ago. But they would go internal for sure, and then Stefanski would make an outside hire after the season. Those types of moves are always tough for outsiders to really grasp because a lot of it comes down to who is well-liked and well-respected inside the coaching staff and during the meetings and all that good stuff. So I don't have a name for you, Jersey Dog, but I do think Preifer is definitely on the hot seat. All right. You're also on the hot seat yourself if you're overpaying for your cell phone plan. So get started right now by saving over at mintmobile.com/chatsports. Now the switch is super easy. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to waste your college football Saturday going to a strip mall and waiting an hour and a half to get a new phone. No, you keep your phone. You keep your phone number. Thanks to new eSIM technology, they mail all of it to you, and you can get started with wireless premium plans starting as low as $15 a month. Now, I'll put that link in the comments and the description of today's show. Make sure you check it out. mintmobile.com/chatsports. Great question coming in from Josh Miller. I wish the game was Sunday against the Bengals. If we lose, I think the Browns would lean towards being sellers than buyers at 2-6, and the Sunday game would give us more time for trade talks. I definitely think if you're a GM, you do not want to see yourself playing on the Monday before the NFL trade deadline. That's one of those things when the schedule comes out, we all go and look to see the fun games. GMs probably look to see who we playing before the trade deadline. I hope it's not on Monday night. Because, yeah, you are robbed of 24 hours to get trade talks done or to maybe be outbid for a trade. So that's definitely something I'm sure Andrew Berry is not necessarily thrilled about. But I also don't believe if a trade were going to happen, it would be boom or bust based on Monday night's result. These things tend to be planned more in advance than us fans tend to realize. Like the Deion Jones trade, for example. I don't think it was simply, wow, we suck on the run, making a trade right now. That one might have been in the works for longer than we think. William Schur, what's up, man? You're next up. How confident are you in our corner's ability to stop the Bengals receivers? A lot more now with the Ja'Marr Chase news breaking live during our show on Thursday that they're going to be down to T. Higgins, who's had his fair share of injuries so far this season. Remember the Ravens game on, what was that, Sunday Night Football just the other week? He started the game, and then he was shut down midway through the game. Tyler Boyd is definitely a receiver of theirs to watch for. Now, how confident am I? Can't stand up here and say I am super duper confident, because the secondary has been cheeks this year. But without Ja'Marr Chase, you got to be more confident than you were with Chase playing. No doubt about it. Now, speaking of Monday Night Football, we will be doing a watch party, a live watch party here on the channel for the game. It's a blast. I guarantee you'll have a good time if you come up and show out. So make sure to do so by joining us then. And hey, if I reach 1,000 Twitter followers, which I got 100 and change to go, by Monday Night Football, I will wear a pumpkin head for the broadcast. So give me a follow at Matthew Petey, and then check in and tune in Monday night for the watch party, and you get to see me rocking a pumpkin head. Goodness, Pete, you're next up. After seeing the Bears trade Robert Quinn, do you think Barry would consider trading Clowney? At this point, you really can't rule out trading anyone other than 5 to 7 guys who are locked up long-term on deals like Watson, Garrett, Bitonio, Teller, and Ward, Chubb. Do I think you consider trading Clowney? No, because I don't think he's going to find anyone who wants to trade for Clowney, who has been really hampered with this high ankle sprain. Maybe if a team believes, you know what, we wanted Robert Quinn, we couldn't get him, Brian Burns isn't available, we have struck out on our top 3 or 4 defensive ends, we'll take a chance on Clowney and hope that ankle gets better soon. But to me, it doesn't seem all that likely at all, because I don't think the Browns are going to find anyone that wants to give up a pick for a defensive end who's got an ankle injury that's really been nagging him the last month. Now, the other interesting factor is, let's say the Browns do find someone, and they are compelled to trade because it's just an offer they can't refuse, right? Like a 4th-round pick. Are they ready to see Alex Wright start? Truth be told, he has been underwhelming. Now, he's just a rookie. I'm not panicking. I'm not nervous. But I'm just going to be honest with you guys. He has not looked like a rookie who could step in for Clowney and be a legitimate starter opposite of Myles Garrett for the rest of the season. Just calling it how I see it right now. All right, speaking of Monday Night Football, by the way, Bengals-Browns. Predict the score for me. Let me know who you got and by how much. Come kickoff Monday night, I'll be Browns 45, Bengals 0 probably. But for now, pencil me in for Cleveland 27, Cincinnati 23. Nice 4-point victory. How does that sound, everyone? Joshua Miller next up once again on the show. Denzel Mims should be a target. Don't have a wide receiver on the team like him. You know what? I get it because he's a name. He's a second-round pick, and the rest of the receiver room kind of stinks. Fine. Trade for Denzel Mims. I don't think he's going to be very different in Cleveland. He's just going to be the wide receiver 4 on this team now instead of Anthony Schwartz. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if Denzel Mims is a player that with a change of scenery could really change the trajectory of his course. I think he is what he is right now, which is a player that was picked way too high, and the only reason why he gets a lot of talk and a lot of buzz is because he was picked in the second round. If he wasn't picked in the second round, would we be talking about him as this huge must-get trade target? No. So yeah, Denzel Mims, if it costs a future 7th, I think it's worth a shot. But I don't want to part ways with even like a 6th for a guy that probably isn't going to be here for much longer. And if he is here, he's just going to sit at the bottom of the Browns depth chart. Last question coming in from Josh again. Wonder if we were in on trade talks for defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins before going to the Cowboys. We also get a super chat, Patrick, that rolled in. Was that a question? Kind of behind the scenes talk here between producer Patrick and I. But whether or not the Browns were in on defensive tackle trade talk for Jonathan Hankins, I heard zero buzz about it. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Not everything, gets leaked to the media. For what it cost, a late day 3 pick swap, I sure hope that Andrew Berry is looking into those options. If he is sticking by his guns, that's going to piss me off because he has to learn when to give up. And it's time to give up on the current defensive tackle room. Last question now is super chat from the Brown Tiger. Any way to trade for Raiders wide receiver Hunter Renfrow? Go Clemson Tigers. At Clemson, we would call him third, and Renfrow, because he was so reliable, was Deshaun Watson's favorite. It would have been possible maybe if the Raiders didn't extend him not long ago this past offseason. Definitely not going to happen, at least this trade deadline. Can't ever rule it out in the future. The NFL is a very unpredictable league, but for now, sorry, Brown Tiger, you're not going to have all the infinity gemstones of Clemson players aligning in Cleveland.